Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
People hate car shopping. Car shopping is just fraught with peril at every turn. And the weird part is that, there's other fields out there that if you're going to have to go out and buy something, there's a lot of stuff to negotiate. You're going to go buy a house, there's a lot of work involved. There can be unpleasant aspects of that. And you're going to buy, there's all kinds of things that if you're going to shop around and do your homework, it takes a lot of work. But car buying is a class all of its own in terms of the difficulties of car shopping, especially when it comes to buying a brand new car. So I did a couple videos a couple years ago and I bought my new Explorer, talked about that experience. And I've had other people contact me and update me on their particular car buying experiences. But the funny thing is that I was on the intranet the other day and I was poking around and all of a sudden my phone beeped and a gentleman messaged me through Facebook. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read it to you. And he says, "Hey, Steve." And this, by the way, is, I believe, a Saturday. And it was in the late afternoon my time, a little bit earlier their time because they're out west. "Hey, Steve, I got a fun one for you. Currently standing in a dealership, 3.5 hours from home. They agreed to a price on a specific car, lot number, VIN, everything. Confirmed the price 3 times, got financing for that price on that car, showed up to pick up the car. Now they want to either downgrade the car to a lower model or jack up the price in this model $3,500. This right here is apparently just plan A for most car dealerships. If you call them on the phone and ask them for a price, they'll give you a price. And when you show up, they go, "Oh, that price. No. That price is for a different car. No, that price is..." I ask you about the specific car with the VIN. What was the confusion here? And the interesting thing is, there's a guy named Alex Roy. And Alex Roy is on Twitter. He writes for a bunch of big car magazines. He's a cannonball guy. He's done a bunch of cannonball runs. I think he set some records. He wrote a book. Really, really cool guy. And the other day on his Twitter feed, he goes, "How come I can't just call a car dealership and get a price over the phone?" Can you imagine that business model? They're selling stuff. People want to buy it. You call them on the phone, go, "How much?" They won't tell you. So these people here actually called the dealership and said, "On this exact car, how much?" Gave them a price. "Double check. I'm going to get financing for that car and that price. Okay? Okay. Can you hold the car? I'm going to come in." "Yeah, absolutely." "Going to drive 3.5 hours to get there?" "Not a problem." They drive 3.5 hours to get there and they say, "Oh, that price is no good. We meant to tell you that it was either going to be a different model or $3,500. Why they couldn't say it over the phone, we don't know. So he says, "What should we do?" My response, seriously, say goodbye and start walking. Watch them come around. And this is the thing, and it became actually a punchline in a Seinfeld episode where George goes car shopping with Jerry. And George is explaining to them this concept, but it's absolutely true, that when you go to a car dealership, one of the things that they're banking on is that they can wear you down. And they're hoping that by just nickel and diming you and tweaking you a little bit here, a little bit there, that they can get more money out of you. And so if you say, "I came here for that price. You told me that price. I came here for that price." And they go, "That's not the price." Turn around and walk out. Leave. And most of the time, most people don't have the guts to do that. And the funny thing is that most people won't do that because they're being polite. People have a difficult time being, quote unquote, impolite to strangers when the stranger is trying to rip them off. But it's human instinct that we just automatically go, "Well, I'm here. I'll talk. Are you sure I can't get that price? Oh, your manager says that it was a mistake. Oh, no. Turn around and walk out. Walk out." So I said, seriously, say goodbye, start walking, watch them come around. And he said, "Well, we're still talking to them." But he goes, "I told them to do the deal, or maybe a jury will help them." Now, I don't know if I'd escalate straight to litigation, but I said, "Well, let me know what happens. They're trying to rip you off. They are trying to rip you off." And he responded and said, "Yeah, unfortunately, The wife is invested, and that's a problem. Never fall in love with the car before you sign the papers, because they can tell. They can tell. It's kind of like if the little kid comes into the pet store and is playing with the puppy. That price ain't going down any. I'm not saying you should buy a puppy from a pet store. I'm simply pointing out that they know that if they can get the emotional hook in you, they're going to get the price. So he said the wife is invested, and I wrote back and said, well, that's what they're banking on. They're banking on that. The problem is that you have to actually let them know it's this price or we're out of here. And then he wrote, it might have to be your next podcast. And I said, that not a bad idea. Keep me updated. And then he wrote, they decided they don't want to be your next podcast. They're honoring their deal. Now, obviously something happened there, right? Because he said that the wife was invested in this. And then he jokingly said they might have to be your next podcast. And then he said they don't want to be your next podcast, which implies that he said to them, I'm actually just talking to a guy right now who does podcasts who's a lawyer, and he talks about car dealerships. And he says they're honoring their deal, to which I responded, nice, with an exclamation point. I said, did you mention me? He said, I was talking to the guy in the lobby, and I said, you're about to do a podcast on this deal. And he said there are several other deals in negotiation. They kind of stopped and were listening to us. To which I responded, dude, you're my hero. And then he said, yeah, I was prepared to go full a-hole mode on them. Thank you. And I wrote, whatever it takes. And then a few minutes later, he wrote back and said, you rocked the deal. And I said, well, send me a pic if you guys buy the car when you get it. And so yesterday, I got a picture of the car, and it's a nice looking car. And he says they love the car, and he gave me some details afterwards as to some of the things they had told him. They had told him apparently that one of the reasons they couldn't honor that price is this was a Saturday, and on Saturday the person who could give them that price wasn't there. No one mentioned that, but person wasn't there. So he said that everyone that wasn't at work that day was magically there within 15 minutes after we started talking about what options we had in the lobby. The options were obviously somebody could do a podcast, they could walk, whatever, to which I responded, it's a miracle. It's amazing how that happens, right? And then he says, it did take 6 hours to finish the process. Again, they're trying to wear you down. They know that time is on their side. And this was a brand new 2020 Charger with some kind of scat package. But it was a brand new car, even though obviously it's 2021, but it's the end of the model year. And then I ended it by saying, cool, is it okay if I tell the story in a video? I won't use any names or places. And he said, of course. And then down below, he says, you saved my buddy about $5,000. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not recommending anybody threaten anybody with saying, hey, we're going to get the media involved. I have a lot of people say that's what they often think. I've had people tell me that they, instead of filing a lawsuit, want to call the news. And I've known news producers. I actually know several. I've known news producers nationally and also news producers locally. And I actually had one news producer tell me, she goes, Steve, anytime you have a story that's newsworthy, call me with it, and we'll do it. We'll do it. And I never told my clients that for the most part, for fear they're going to go, call them about my case. Those aren't newsworthy cases, because this right here happens all the time. This is a dog bites man versus man bites dog. The number of people who get ripped off on a daily basis at car dealerships who are told, oh, the price we told you over the phone, that's for a different car. Oh, who told you that? Oh, he didn't have authority to say that. That car's been sold. It was sold like 3 days ago. That story happens so often, it's not news, okay? It's a trend, but it's not news. And by the way, it's a trend that's been going on forever, so I'm not sure if it's a trend. It's just It's more of a habit at this point. It's just what they do. Like I said, it's plan A. When they're selling cars over the phone, they talk to you on the phone to come into the dealership. What they tell you over the phone is meaningless. And they know that, by the way. And I talked about this before. Most people buy a car every year, every couple of years. I know some families that buy like one new car a year and they alternate. So they keep a car for 2 years and they do that, whatever. You might buy a car a year, car every couple of years. They sell cars daily. They are experts at car sales. No one who's a retail buyer is an expert on car buying for the most part. There's a couple people out there. I may have mentioned Tom McParland before. He's a car buyer. And he actually, you can call him, and he writes for Jalopnik, and say, I'm looking for a particular kind of car. He'll find it for you. He'll negotiate the price for you. He'll make his job pay for you by saving you enough money to take care of him. But he's a professional, but that's very unusual. Most people are amateurs at car buying, and they're negotiating with a professional. So who do you think's going to win that most of the time? So I have no problem with a car seller trying to make a profit. They have to. But to make a profit by lying or doing sketchy things like saying, oh, come on in, the price is this. When they get there, oh, no, the price isn't that, it's this. Who told you that? You did. When? Earlier today. I talked to you. Yes. And one of the reasons that this is all so intriguing to me is that we all know that car dealers are going away. Car dealers are going away. And Tesla is the one that got the wedge in there, and they're prying their way in. And Tesla is selling direct to consumers. And when you realize that, you go, what does the car dealer add to the equation? I mean, they get the car from the factory, clean it up a little bit, and they sell it to me. But they mark the price up. Couldn't the manufacturer clean the car up and sell it to me also for less money? Oh, wait, they could. Interesting. What we have is that car dealerships have been around for over 100 years. It's just something, they're here now because they've been here for so long, but they're going to go away. I don't know if they're going to go away in our lifetime. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to a weird hybrid system where there are some car dealers, new car dealers, and some not, But I think the manufacturers, when they figure out how much profit they can make on a car by selling it directly, they're going to go, wait a second, why do we have dealers again? And, so I think that that's the direction we're going. There was a time when you'd walk into a Borders bookstore and look around and go, wow, it's a great time to be a bookseller. And many of you right now are going, Borders who? Who's that again? And I like books. It's very, very sad. So a great story sent in by my friends. Again, like I said, I wouldn't recommend that you threaten them with litigation. I wouldn't recommend that you say, hey, Steve Lehto is going to do a video about you, because you don't know if I will or not. But I just love the story because the guy said, he drove 3.5 hours to be here. And they immediately said that they were not going to honor the deal. That got us to drive the 3.5 hours here. So that's crazy. But thanks a lot for sending it to me. I love car buying stories. Send them along. And thank you. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Do not taunt Happy Fun Ball.